Battlefield Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Battlefield Podcast. This is episode 157. I'm Ola, aka ChalkOne, here with Tim, aka Darkness429, and my cat outside the door. She wants to come in, but she ain't allowed. So, Battlefield 4 has been out for almost 4 weeks now.
Yep.
We haven't really talked about it on a podcast form until now. Not, in fact, since we talked about the Battlefield 4 beta. Mm-hmm. But, you know, we wanted to give it a couple of weeks because I think probably the one thing that you can say about the launch of Battlefield 4, if nothing else, is that it's been rocky. It hasn't been easy.
Very much so.
I don't know. I think there's probably lots of different viewpoints as to what the reason for that is. I mean, we've heard everything from people saying the game's unplayable, to it works great for me, to I crash every second, round, to, I mean, pretty much anything you can imagine. Issues with the single-player campaign that people have experienced where they've lost their saved progress, which would be a real bummer. But so it's been rough. DICE has been working on it. There's been lots of server-side patches. There has been some client-side patches. There's only been one, if you're not counting the launch patch for the Xbox 360, for example. Most of these problems seem to be across platforms too, different ones. But right. I haven't really heard from anybody saying, like, you know what, the PS3 is rock solid or something like that. Like, everything has issues of some sort. And I don't know how much we want to speculate about what causes these launch issues, but there's been a lot of talk about beating Ghost to the storefront, being the first games out for, the next gen, or I guess current gen consoles, now the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Yeah, it's frustrating. EA is kind of notorious for doing that. Once they set a date, they set the date, and they won't change it. Look at Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was actually pushed back because they weren't ready. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we could ever see a company like EA say, well, we're not ready yet, so we're going to hold on to it. There was actually a post in the Reddit forums, the subreddit forums. Someone was talking to one of the QA guys from DICE, and the guy pretty much said, look, they told us that we had to get the game out. And There was a lot of QA time that we just weren't able to get to because of the time constraints. And, it's got to be frustrating for DICE because they're not the biggest production house in the world. They're a somewhat small studio.
Yes and no, but
there's some big studios, but I mean, like, they are also working on not just the PC, Xbox, and PS3.
Yeah, I mean,
they were working on
5 versions of one game.
They were working on 5 different versions of the game. That's got to be rough. That's very difficult, and to be able to test everything. I mean, we could stress test the game because what is available to one QA team, which takes them days, we could do it in minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, with EA driving everything, EA is such a large company that they really did literally probably look at things and say, you know what, this is the date. It's right around the next gen console release. It's a week before Call of Duty comes out. This is the date we want. And come hell or high water, that's when you're going to release the game. Now, I've seen a lot of interesting discussion back and forth over the past couple of weeks on Twitter regarding whether or not this is acceptable. Like, a lot of people will say, well, that's just the games industry these days. And then other people are saying the opposite of that. The only reason it's like that is because we let them do it. We're more than willing to pre-order, throw $150 at them, buy multiple versions, buy DLCs that are 9 months out. And then when it comes out, we bitch about it. But, next opportunity, we give them our money again. And to be honest, if you're the financial guys at EA, you don't care. You look at the numbers and it's like, oh, look at how many games we sold. Look at how many pre-orders we've had. This is all working swimmingly well. If you're the guy at DICE that has to respond to subreddit posts, you're kind of like, oh my God, I hate my life. I hate my life. I hate my life.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So I don't know I don't necessarily think it's acceptable. I don't know how we can go about changing this kind of behavior because it seems to be more and more common.
Especially when they reward you for pre-ordering. You get special unlocks. You get a physical item like the dog tags, or you get a bunch of battle packs or things that you feel are important to you that would make your game experience different and more exciting. I don't think that that way is going to change, especially
No.
with, I mean, EA isn't the only one that does it. There's a bunch of other games like, like Batman, you get a special Batman skin or things like that. There's always going to be something that you get rewarded for paying them early. So
and we've had this discussion with Dasco, I think it might have been even last year, in regards to Battlefield 3 Premium and the whole business model behind pre-ordering and how good that looks financially for a company and how it makes them feel more secure about the future, right? If you can sell a DLC that you haven't started working on yet, but you can already make money off it, you'll feel a lot better about working on it.
Right.
There's downsides to that too. I guess you can say that why should they bother with quality control? They've already got your money kind of thing. As long as they put something out, then they're okay. But I mean, I think what's disappointing to me a little bit is it is such a big title. When you think about AAA launches in this genre, there's really Battlefield and Call of Duty. Let's face it, those are the two.
Yep.
And I haven't played Call of Duty Ghosts. I've heard that there's some issues with it. Well, it's not like there was a moment where I was hoping that its launch would be flawless and everybody would be perfectly happy, just so that you could tell the people at EA and DICE, that it is possible. It can be done.
Right.
But I guess there's been some hiccups there as well, even though...
Which is funny because, I mean, I don't want to get into it as much, but Battlefield 4 was pretty much brand new. There was a lot of development and testing and whatnot that went into this product, and I feel like with Ghost, it was a little bit easier for them to do.
Right. Yeah, as far as reusing stuff. But... What?
No.
Some of the things in Battlefield 4 that were broken, or in some cases are still broken. I think right now, I don't know, what would you say are the biggest issues? We have stability issues.
A lot of stability issues.
So servers crashing and clients crashing.
Right.
Those are always the worst. I see at least 10 posts on Twitter any given day about saying, I just had the best run of my life, and it crashed just before it ended, kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that happened to me plenty of times. I think the other thing is just performance instability. People are still complaining about dramatic FPS drops and things like that. So it seems like there's things that aren't working with the graphics cards in the way that they're actually interacting with at least the PC version of Battlefield.
Mm-hmm. Now, so those things are, I wouldn't say that they're expected, but I can sort of understand server crashes, because when you're doing QA testing, and like you said, that they may have bypassed a lot, or they certainly didn't test it with as many people as were playing the game as soon as it went live and got sold. So you can kind of understand that, stress testing is difficult to do because it's really hard to simulate real life. But there are some issues in the game that I personally find sort of strange. I can't explain. I'm like, I don't understand why that's a problem.
Yeah.
Sounds dropping out on certain maps.
Or hit detection's a big thing. There's a lot of just anomalies where, you both start unloading on each other and no one's hitting.
Yeah.
They're just standing. You just unloaded an entire magazine and, you both are standing in front of each other kind of just going, what the hell happened?
There's been a lot of talk about netcode.
Yeah, this whole, well, you don't get me started on this whole netcode thing. I feel like everyone's a netcode expert. Everyone knows what netcode really is, but no one, you ask them what netcode is and they don't know. I think it's just a term that's just thrown around way too much. But this new one-hit bug is also an annoying thing as well.
Yeah, there's a video that Jack Frags made, right?
Yeah, well, originally it started off from a Redditor that did the video, and then Jack kind of picked it up and kind of went into better detail. But yeah, it was well done. It actually shows off just the how uncharacteristic it is for a weapon to do that, and just how it just oddly every once in a while you'll get a full 100% hit after after you've already got 50% hit. It'll then drop to 100. It's very strange.
Yeah, so there's some weird bugs in the game that are probably most annoying, and those are the ones where you really think of, this shouldn't be in here.
Right.
These kind of things should have been caught at some point or another, and you can only give them so much leeway for having been under a timeline. I'm sure that deadline had been set a long time ago. It's not like suddenly somebody came around October 1st and said, by the way, guys, 29 days from now, we're going. Right. I'm sure that date was set well in advance, and it's such a complex game. I mean, Frostbite 3, the game itself, I mean, on the positive side, the game looks gorgeous on the PC.
Yes, it's beautiful.
From what I've heard, it looks really nice on the new consoles as well.
I got to play it on the Xbox 360, and I thought from
Xbox One?
Or the Xbox One,
Yeah.
looking at how it looked on the Xbox 360 in the beta from the video that you posted,
Yeah.
to then playing it on the Xbox One in London, it was a huge step in the right direction. It looks really good for being on console, especially at the 60 frames per second.
Yes. And I mean, on PC, the graphics are great. The atmosphere is cool. Some parts of the single player campaign are visually amazing. It feels really, really good. But when people play multiplayer games like this, and back to the netcode thing, and in the end, the best way to piss off somebody who's playing a first person shooter multiplayer is to make it seem like you're hitting somebody and nothing happens.
Right.
I think everybody that plays the game can be fine with being sniped from a distance, or you get shot in the back, or you were taken, by surprise, and you sort of lost a battle, quote unquote, in a fair gunfight. It's those moments where you've hit somebody a bunch and nothing seems to be happening, and it's also, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, but it seems to me like trading. Where you kill somebody and they kill you. It happens so much more than it used to.
It happens a lot, and you can't really explain it because you feel like you had the drop on the guy.
There's that, and there's also times where I got a kill afterwards, and I know I shouldn't have.
Right.
It's like I die first and he does. It's like, it's like something's off, and there's been some good posts about netcode, and the netcode being the amount of data that's being sent back and forth between the server and 64 or more clients, right? Is crazy. It's got to keep all that stuff in sync. When you add in all the destruction and flying debris, and now that things actually impact people's bodies and make you change, not physically change your way, but your character actually seems to react to it. Like all that information is being sent back and forth, and somebody somewhere said that you're never going to get perfect netcode.
No.
Or you're never going to get that perfect. But when it gets so to the point where it bothers people, and or it becomes a talking topic like it is now, I think then I don't know. I don't know if you have to scale back on some of the things that are flying around that aren't as important as the bullets. But if it's being said that with all the stuff going on, we can't get it perfect, maybe there should be less stuff going on so that the things that are important, like hit points and hit detection, actually do happen. I don't know.
I mean, destruction's been such a big thing since the inception of Frostbite. Frostbite was this brand new way to play the game. Maybe they did a little too much this time with all these levolution effects and whatnot, being able to manipulate the map to such an extreme degree. Maybe they should have focused on the actual core properties of Battlefield before going off to these more marketable parts like this levolution, because the levolution was a big marketing thing. I mean, a lot of it was just kind of, I don't want to say gimmicky, but it was very attention grabbing. You're like, in what other game can you drop a skyscraper?
It's like the Michael Bay explosions in his movies. It's the stuff that catches people's eyes on a TV ad or whatever. So let's talk a little bit about levolution. On those maps, you just said gimmicky. I've had experiences when some map, the levolution really does have a big impact and changes the way the game's played. I'm thinking Flood Zone, for example. To me, once the map's flooded, it's an entirely different kind of game than it was before. But on some other maps, it's kind of like,
like Land King.
That dam, honestly, it's one of the most difficult levolution events to trigger. That at least when I was doing it intentionally, it just took a long time.
Right.
And it's kind of like whatever.
Yeah. So you get to crush a couple people with a boulder. I mean, like,
maybe, yeah.
If you're lucky. I mean, like, it would have been cool if there was water behind that dam.
Yeah,
if you would have flooded the entire lower portion of the map and just made it a water map, everyone just gets like boats.
Yeah,
that would have been cool. Or flooded a portion of the map or something. That would have been neat. But it's just it's nothing. It's just a big rock that comes screaming down and crushes some things and blows out a bridge. So
overall, do you have any idea how much time you've spent in Battlefield 4 so far?
Almost 50 hours.
Okay.
So that's
I'm
not
probably
bad.
close to that between my PC and my 360 Soldier. I just looked. I'm at 30 for the PC. So, there's a lot to take in, though. I'm still at that stage where every time I unlock a new gun,
Yeah.
I equip that and I play with that for a while until I unlock the next one.
Yep.
The whole unlock system it's definitely a little bit more complex, but they've also organized it a little bit better, I think.
I think they've also made it a little bit easier to get to things.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like with these battle packs, being able to just give you the unlock instead of having to get so many kills for a scope.
Yes.
That kind of like it keeps your interest with the weapon instead of having to just grind it, which is nice.
I'm always excited when I get a new battle pack, even though most of the time it doesn't really do a whole lot.
I'm excited until it's like it's like 2 soldier camo, or it's like a soldier camo, a battle log emblem, a battle log soldier profile picture, and then a 25% XP boost. You're like, that sucked.
It's true. But there's so much content still. I still feel very much like a beginner in the game. Like I get the mechanics, and I get know how the game modes work and all that. But I'm still learning the maps.
Yeah.
I'm still learning the weapons.
Right.
I'm still learning the vehicles. To be honest, like every time I get into a tank, I'm like, God damn it, I should have checked if I can customize this differently, because one of the things that they've given us, right, with everything is everything has better starting setups.
Yes.
The vehicles in particularly they're fully equipped with things now.
Well, like the jets. Thank God the jets started with flares.
Everybody has flares, even though the flares and helicopters for me still don't seem to be working, but maybe I'm just really bad at it. But again, it's one of those things I just feel like I haven't had the time yet.
Right. There's a lot to do in Battlefield. I feel like there's a lot more than Battlefield 3. Battlefield 3, I felt like once you started, it was just like, okay, go. And like you were kind of just in it, and it all made sense within a couple hours. But this, I feel like there's so much more to kind of take in and do. I think the learning curve is a little bit bigger, which I enjoy. I'm glad it's just not a complete copy from Battlefield 3 over. Like the basic mechanics are still the same. Like the way that you should shoot, like the gun physics and all that stuff kind of carried over, but the vehicle play is a little different. The way that vehicles interact with other things are completely different. And just the flow of maps, I feel like, have changed. The meta for certain things have changed.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem ungrateful, because people always said in BF3, we want more. Give us more. And now I'm sitting here, it's like, there's so much stuff.
Right.
We go back to the old days where it was simple, and I'd play engineer for a while just so I can unlock the stinger. Because right now I'm playing and I'm just like, you've unlocked this and you've unlocked that.
Yeah.
And here's a battle pack. And did you know you can do this? I'm like, shit, man, where's my med pack? I don't even know. I'll just revive people.
Right. And then you've got all these, you got these field upgrades and whatnot, so which do different things. And so you don't have like these, and then the perks, and it's just like there's a lot. There's a lot to really figure out and how to kind of perfect your gameplay now. Yeah,
and then you add in the commander mode, which is now fully available. It's out on tablets, not Windows mobile devices.
Doesn't work on Windows Mobile, which sucks for my Surface that I have.
Yeah, hopefully that will still come sometime. But there's commander modes out. People are playing commander. They're trying to figure out how that works.
Right. Yeah.
Because then there's more complexity there, and then squads don't accept orders. And I think, to be honest, perfectly honest, I think it's just because they don't know how. I don't think it's clear enough when a commander gives a squad leader an order.
Yeah, they're just not paying
accept
attention.
it.
Yep.
It's too fast, or it's not obvious enough. There needs to be just a thing that pops up in their face and lets them really quickly decide. I'd almost want it to be like the revive screen, where you can say accept or reject. Something like that. That's a little bit more obvious, because I've heard from people playing Commander that they're like, this is kind of cool. I don't know if anybody's listening to me.
Yeah.
I just drop things. I put an EMP over there. I put a UAV over there. But that connection that the commander and the squad leaders are supposed to have is still...
I haven't figured out how to chat to squad leaders. I've
by
tried
voice or text?
No, voice. I've been trying to hit like the VoIP button on the PC, and it just doesn't work.
See, I don't know. On the iPad app, it's really easy. There's a microphone button that you push to talk.
Oh, that's convenient.
But yeah, I haven't tried it on the PC either. I don't know how it works on the Xbox at all. So again, it's so much, and I'm hoping that the community will continue to learn and to provide a lot of that sort of training material. You know, like I came across a really good post on Reddit that explains all the assets that a commander has, because that's also not explained anywhere.
Right. No, I had no idea what the EMP did.
No, I
finally figured out like what it did. Yeah.
Looks like it blocks stuff.
I thought it was a counter UAV to the UAV. I thought if you put the EMP on top of the enemy UAV, it would kill their UAV. Which it
right,
never,
and then I start thinking, what if I put it on top of my own UAV? Am I just screwing myself? You know, it's like UAV, EMP, haha.
Yeah, and now it's really frustrating because like the cooldown times are very short, and with
almost instant.
Yeah, with this EMP visual bug that we have right now is very frustrating. You could almost have the seizure effect the entire game because the commander could just spam the EMP on top of you.
And so this is an intent. It's a bug because it looks like it's intentional.
I think it might have been intentional, but I think they might be calling it a bug. I don't think it was supposed to be as intense as it's supposed to be, because like if you were ever to receive an EMP, unless you were a cyborg, you wouldn't know. Right, your
electronic gadgets would die.
Right,
and I had a discussion on Twitter just the other day about it, where people, you know,
what it should do
blur
is
out the mini map or something,
right,
or mess with my health counter and my ammo counter, and
it should turn off your RDS. So if you have like a red dot sight, which is electronic, that should go out. So like, and this happened in COD. Like COD has had an EMP grenade.
Yes.
And if you threw an EMP grenade at a guy, it would kill all of their electronics for a certain amount of time. So
it should disable your defib or something. Like just
it should kill electronic
like
devices.
Your tugs, your radio beacons, your motion sensors.
But if you want it just to be like, if you're playing chess against the commander, then it should just screw with the commander. It shouldn't mess with people's visuals. That's frustrating.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. And to be honest, I think probably a lot of people may not even know what it is, because it does feel like a bug when you just come across it. You're like, am I being suppressed? Is someone shooting? What's going on? Like, I don't understand.
It looks like your computer's trying to give you 3D.
Yeah, it does.
It's what it looks like. It looks like my computer is trying to process a 3D image and give it to me, and I'm not wearing the right glasses.
Yeah. And it can be disorienting for some people, I suspect. Just like 3D TV without glasses would, you go nauseous after a couple of minutes of watching that.
Some people are saying they're getting headaches from that shit. And especially if all they're doing is getting spammed with an EMP, that's frustrating.
So, I mean, hopefully that's going to get fixed. Like we said, they've had patches before on the server side. Every time that there's a new patch, it seems to help somewhat, and then still create problems for it. People seem to go. It affects everybody differently. There used to be people who would crash all the time in the beginning, that are now much better off.
Yeah,
I rarely crashed in the beginning, and lately I've been crashing more often. So it's just strange. Like the PC world's complicated. We all know that. There's driver issues. There's AMD has got a new series of video cards, so that complicates it even further, because those are all early drivers, new hardware, all that stuff. But in the end, I mean, it's a little frustrating when you expect, in some way, you have a right to get what you paid for. Right. And I've sensed this trend, and it's not even just in the software or the game industry. It's also in the hardware. With the new consoles coming out, it seems more and more there were things like, oh yeah, you can stream to Twitch next year
with the Xbox
soon. Yeah. And those were things that I'm pretty sure were advertised as being part of that system.
Yes.
And you can argue that that's not a big deal, but you know what, to some people it is. And it's the same with Battlefield, where some people may say, you know what, oh, I don't care that I couldn't use the commander mode on the mobile devices for the first 3 weeks or whatever. It's like, okay, that's fine, but why didn't they say that? Why?
It's a good topic just to talk about. Just companies in general just hyping the expectations of their products.
And I guess it's because it's so much easier nowadays to add on stuff later.
Right.
But so what they haven't really done, they haven't really separated the marketing from the reality at some point. It's like, this game or this system can do all these things. It won't do them all at launch.
What they need to do is they need to have devs in charge of advertising. Because a dev, I feel like for the most part, whenever I've talked to a dev, they're pretty straight with you. They're like, yeah, it can do this, but not right now.
Yeah,
or,
but that
or we
makes for
wanted it
horrible
to
advertising.
do it. Well,
You
yeah,
talk
it
to
would
a
be
marketing
horrible.
person, be like, "Don't let that guy talk,"
Yeah, but
because
it's
he'll tell you that doesn't work, and it's probably not going to work because it's crap.
Yeah.
Let's tell you that it will most likely work.
Yeah, when I got to talk to some of the dice devs, they were very straight, and I was kind of put my hand over my mouth, and I was like, oh my god, he just said that, but he was being honest. He was saying yeah, that was crap, or we wanted to do it, but they wouldn't let us do it, so it just doesn't work. So yeah, it's frustrating, and I feel like if you had someone who is very honest with you, it would be a better experience, but like you said, it would kill marketing. No one would make money.
Yeah, and I mean, this is probably a discussion for a much larger forum, but that whole people getting worried about these games coming out too quickly,
right?
And it just turning into a money-making thing. Nobody wants a yearly Battlefield game like Call of Duty has been doing.
No, and thank God they said that they won't do it, because they know
right.
they would kill the fan base.
But in some way, and I know that the DLCs are being developed by sort of a different section of DICE than the main game.
Right.
But there's always that worry. The game comes out, half the dev staff goes on a month-long vacation right after launch.
Yep.
Because they've worked hard, and don't get me wrong, it's fine. They've worked hard to launch, but probably the first few weeks after launch are the most important for a game, especially a multiplayer game like this. I mean, we've all seen the SimCity launch and what kind of a disaster that was. The Battlefield 4 launch isn't as bad, but there are similarities there. They're now doing a player appreciation double XP thing at the end of the month, right? November 29th to December 5th, I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Where they've publicly now said, we're sorry for all the problems you've all been having. We're working very hard on fixing them. That's not good. And that kind of stuff, there's a bit of a trend in the industry as a whole, I think. And, we've got DLCs coming out. The first one's coming out in just over a week.
Yep.
China Rising. In fact, on Xbox One, the DLC Second Assault is already out.
Which is driving me absolutely insane.
Well, the whole logistics of these have been, they have that nice premium calendar on Battlelog. It's great because you can tell what's coming up when, especially for premium members, right? Because we've already paid for it.
Yeah, where's Second
Assault? So we want
to
know. It's not even on there.
It's not there. Where did it go? I see that
and
China
you can't
Rising's
get an answer from somebody.
No, because nobody knows. EA is driving this horse, and everyone's got blinders on. They're just like, well, it's going. Here we go. It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't, because you know what? I get the exclusivity deal that they have with Xbox One,
which was fine, but give everybody the exact same DLC.
Right. So why don't they do that, and then we would get Second Assault on the 3rd of December, and do China Rising in March or February or whatever.
Would have been fine. I don't understand why this was why would you give one platform a completely different DLC than everybody else? And then also give them the other DLC as well. So now Xbox One is going to have 2 DLCs where we have one, but we still don't know when we're getting Second Assault. This makes no sense. And I still think
it's too early for DLCs. Anyways, there's always that discussion.
The game is still unstable. There's no reason for you to put out a DLC when you're still having client-side crashes.
Let's add more maps with issues. Let's add more gadgets that people have to learn about. But people always say, "Oh, I hate paying for DLC. Just give it all to me." It's like, well, if you wanted it all, you'd get a game with 10 maps.
Yeah,
that's it. That's not kidding ourselves. Just because there's 4 DLCs, that doesn't mean that would have gone in the main game.
Right. These DLCs are designed to increase the longevity of the game. Mm-hmm. But when you're putting out 2 DLCs right away, that doesn't increase the longevity. That just throws them more shit.
It's almost like if I want to play BF4 for the next 2 years,
right?
I want to have a DLC every 6 months or 4 months or whatever, so that it's nicely spaced out. So that at the beginning of 2015, I'm still looking forward to something. At this rate, by January, I'm going to be like, fuck it. There's so many goddamn maps, and I'll keep getting killed by SUAVs that some jackass is throwing at me. Thanks, Tim. For finding that out. I don't know. It's too soon. But again, it probably goes back to EA's release schedule. They said, this is what we're doing. This is when we're doing it.
No, it's not DICE, and if people keep bitching about DICE, I'm gonna throw something at them. It's not. They're just told what to do. They're told that this needs to be done by this point, or you're not gonna get paid.
True, but who can you bitch at though? I mean, in all honesty, you can't talk to EA. At some point, it may not be fair that DICE gets a lot of heat.
Well, that's the thing is, it's like they're catching all of it because it's their game.
it should go from them though up the chain. Like if I'm going to bitch at Vincent, who's a community manager, for example, he's doing a really good job, but that's the community's point of contact, right?
Right, and then that should go up to
Unfortunately, those people catch a lot of the shit because that's part of the nature of their job. But that needs to go up to. That's why a lot of those community managers work for EA directly as well, not just for DICE. So there's both. So
right, like Ian Tourney is a contractor who works for EA, who is their community manager.
Correct. So, but that kind of stuff, I mean, it needs to at some point go somewhere. And I don't know if the answer is that people should just not pre-order stuff as much, maybe. Because to be honest, the benefits of pre-ordering, looking back at it, kind of like, meh, I don't know. The stupid dog tags. I know we got all excited about the dog tags.
Cool.
But
it was cool at that moment in time. But when you think about it, it was worthless. Like it didn't do anything for me.
Right.
And maybe I would love to be able to do an experiment to see what would happen if no one pre-ordered a game. It won't happen. There's no way that we can stop every single gamer from pre-ordering, but it would be very interesting to see what if you didn't pre-order. What would a game company do?
Because not only do the game companies offer pre-orders, but the retail outlets do too, right? I mean, most of these promotions were put on by GameStop or all those kind of change. Amazon had pre-order bonuses, I think. It would be interesting. I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer either. I think what needs to happen in this field though is that going forward, hopefully things will even out a little bit, and hopefully, maybe the good thing is that the more rocky launches we have, the more companies will learn from them and try to avoid them in the future.
Yep.
But okay, so Battlefield 4, it's been 4 weeks. What do you think we're gonna like? What are your hopes or expectations for the next 4 weeks? Let's say not counting China Rising, but just the core game. Just
the core game. Well, I really do hope to see a better stability in the game. I would love to see no more crashes. I can't remember a BF3 crash to save my life. I don't remember that game crashing.
It never did for me. I know there were people who had issues, but not this.
So just to see overall, just across the board stability on all platforms would be very nice, and just to see better hardware utilization. I still think that there's some issues with CPUs and graphics cards and things just not being utilized correctly. So just overall, just stability. So I hope within the next month or so, going into the next year, the brand new 2014 year, I hope to just see better stability.
Yeah, and for me personally, same thing. Obviously, I think everybody will say that. And I'd like to just be able to get focused a little bit more in the game. I'm hoping that at some point the onslaught of unlocks and new features slows down a little bit so I can catch up.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, it's what everyone asked for. There wasn't enough. So I like what they've done, but I think you're right. I think for right now, they kind of just slow it down. And then when we start getting into, spring of next year, then they kind of like kick it back up again and give us a handful of weapons.
Well, I'm just looking forward to, going through my routine of unlocking stuff so that I can actually spend some time trying to find out what like your favorite gun is. Because when people ask you, what's your favorite weapon class, map, whatever, I don't know yet. I'm still experimenting. Maybe it's one of those guns I haven't unlocked yet. Yeah. It takes time, and I guess I don't know if I had more time to dedicate to the game when BF3 came out, but it just felt a little bit less hectic to me at the time. So, with that said, though, let us know. I was going to say in the comments, but this won't be on YouTube. This is on iTunes. But you can find our videos on YouTube, including you can see the SUAV and you can see Tim throw it at people.
Yeah, but you guys can, if you let us know what you guys think by tweeting at us.
Yes.
Add us on Twitter. Battlefield Podcast is at BF Podcast. Ola is at Chalk_1, and I'm at Darkness429. So just tweet us. That's usually where the best place is to contact us, is on the old Twitter. So let us know from there. Let us know what you guys think. If you enjoy the show.
Let us know what you want us to talk about as well. We're going to do these again. We say this every time. We're going to do them more frequently. But
I think it was nice that we had a little bit of a break just so that we could actually just take in Battlefield 4. There was a lot to really do in this game.
There is. Yeah, and because of the rocky start, it would have been premature to have too much discussion too early. I still think it is a little bit, but it's been 4 weeks. So hopefully we will be back again in a couple of weeks. Again, battlefieldpodcast.com for everything about us, and you can find it there. And thank you very much for listening on iTunes or wherever you are. We'll catch you again soon. I'm Ola, a.k.a. ChalkOne, and Tim.
I'm Tim, aka Darkness429. Thanks for watching, guys, and listening, and we'll see you next time.